Yo, what's up, everybody? It's CLT here again with another Midwest Weekly episode. We are getting caught up with semifinals, loser semifinals, and then the loser bracket finals. Um, like last episode, I'm joined by the one, the only, the goated support and caster with the beautiful voice himself, Mr. Nexus. How you doing, bro?
Can't complain. Once again, happy to jump on and get us finally caught up ahead of. I don't think finals is scheduled yet, right? But
I don't believe so. I think I heard rumors of it being Saturday, but do not
gotcha.
quote me on that. I know Hidden Leaf had some people uh, in and out this week, so
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But either way, excited to get in and finally get caught up on the show for the three teams, quote unquote, three teams left ahead of the grand finals.
yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a banger, but let's kind of work our way there. We have series with quite a few games. We can start off here with what would be considered the winner bracket finals. This is Hidden Leaf versus Stun Incarnate, casted by the one and only Leshe himself, the GOAT, the man, the myth, the legend. So, um, looking at this game one, you already see Hidden Leaf kind of putting their flavor on this series with this game one, Akaza Kha'Zix. I think he is the only one the last two splits to pull this champion out, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not seeing any Kazakhs. This is probably the only time I see it is when Akaza is playing it, and so a treat to see for sure. And then Arthidius Lysandra is pretty interesting. I think rest of the board pretty standard as well as on the side of Incarnate. But some game one spice always welcome.
Uh, I like Lissandra with high AD, like high damage, like assassin type of junglers. Lissandra Viego, I think, is a tried and true patented combo. And it doesn't surprise me if Kha'Zix kind of works in the same flavor. Also, Arthidius going with the Lissandra counter into Ari. They do share similar ranges through the laning phase, and the CC lockdown that Lissandra brings is really, really good. Lissandra with Ornn, actually, when the Ornn ult comes through first, he applies Brittle to everybody, which means Lissandra ults and Ws get extended CC. So
Hmm.
I like the little synergies here, and we haven't even touched on everybody's favorite bot lane in the Ash, the Ash Seraphine here. Jhin though coming out here, I don't want to get too into this draft, but this Jhin, Karma Jhin, I normally see Karma with like Ezreal's, Caitlyn's. Jhin is an interesting one. What's your kind of take on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining that's comfort. I think we touched on this a little last week, but when you're going into the Ash Seraphine, a lot of the counter pick there is going with something with range to keep your distance, space out all right. And I think that was the goal. And pretty sure it went well. I want to say the bot lane only really fell behind after some gank action. Good movement out of, I think Arthidius actually made some roams happen down there and helped turn the tides. But otherwise, the Jin Karma, they stayed pretty stable. And I like having the Jin Karma going in later. I think it's just a little bit easier to execute when you look at the rest of the team. You can speed up this Zahen, this Inzao, and let them do the work from there.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, it sounds pretty good in that regard. And I think low key there's some decent setups when it comes to the Jin W when you have stuff like charms and knockups and pulls,
Oh
whatnot.
yeah,
So
that's the biggest thing with the Jin, right? You're always going to have at least some value, utility wise, if not damage wise, if you're raining from way far away.
yeah. So this game had quite a bit of action all over the map here. As we're kind of fast forward here, we're looking at two dragons for the side of Incarnate, but 21 kills at the 16-minute mark is a bloodbath here. Um,
Yeah, action all around. I think both junglers and mid laners were really getting out on the map. Pretty uncharacteristic, I will say, for Akaza to fall behind in the fashion he did. I want to say there was like a botched top dive earlier on. I don't remember it being anything too spectacular other than just maybe like an overforce because you would expect the Ornn to win a little more into the Zehen, but instead Jacob got himself off to a great start, and I know he definitely ran with the game a bit. Uh, Stayed pretty even. You know, you could see it here, 10-11. Gold is pretty much even. I don't really know what the turning point was, but eventually Incarnate stacking the drags as they do. Pretty simple game plan. I feel like we talked on this before. They just stack up the Drakes using a nice winning bot lane, usually with some range, and then let the rest of the team carry. And Lysander, you know, he had himself a game as well. One of the good Lysander games. 6-0 and 8 on the Ari here, 22 minutes in. It really just ballooned somewhere between that 16 to now 22-minute mark, where they just took off and just didn't lose a fight.
yeah, I think I'm trying to like slowly remember these games because they all happened, within 2 to 3 weeks ago. Sorry, 1 to 2 weeks ago. Uh, a lot of the action definitely favored the side of Mythos here. I mean, as you can see, the whole top side of the map has got all 19 kills, so your gold distribution is really good. But I think for Akaza, like I know he plays the Kha'Zix, the Nefiri, stuff like that really really well. But there's so much like zone control slash mobility and range out of this comp that I don't. It's so hard for Kha'Zix, especially a Kha'Zix that's from behind, to get in on this comp. You can't really jump on Xin Zhao once he's got, I mean, 3 items. He went Death Dance third. Um, and you've got the Triforce um, Hydra item for Jacob, and I mean, barbecues over the top, also shielding people. Even with Serpent's Fang, shields still have value here. So it was a unique comp to be piloting, but yeah, it looks like Incarnate just honestly put themselves in a world where they front to back, and it's just hard to front to back when you have Kha'Zix.
Yeah, I mean, I do favor the 5v5 for Hidden Leaf. Look at that Spirit Tracks flash forward. Hell yeah. But it's like, by the time they're getting it off here, 26 minutes in, I mean, the gold lead is just too big for Incarnate. And I like the fight, right in front of Drake. Let's send it. Let's do it. And it's just a tough loss. I think you don't have too much damage on the side of Hidden Leaf. That would be my biggest thing. Not to touch on the draft too much, because obviously they had a good thing going gameplay wise early on. But who's really pumping out the damage here when Kha'Zix isn't super ahead, when Lissandra isn't super ahead? This Ashe Seraphine has 10 of your 15 kills. That's not great. And once this soul was picked up, it's really just game over by that point.
Yeah, I feel like if this draft was like deeper in the series, like game 2, game 3, where some of the like quote unquote OPs are out due to fearless, then I think this draft has like a lot more legs to stand on here.
Hmm.
But I do agree. I mean, we see Akaza at the 27-minute mark. They just got soul after that fight. 2, 6, and 3. Yeah, he's got an Ordum item, but he's only 2 items, and there's just no way for him to play these fights here. Overall, so I'm gonna try and fast forward ahead. I did see a moment there in the timeline where it looks like
Yeah, I know
about.
this one was more of a wash than. I mean, they still held on pretty long, stalling out to Elder, but now you're 9K down. Yes, the Ornn items come in, but I think Incarnate just did a really good job of pushing their lead with little picks here or there and getting themselves to a point where, yeah, even in these 5v5 team fights where it may be tougher to play, it's still a wash. Like Sander jumping in with that top side dive. just a lot more potent than the side of Hidden Leaf's Dive at this stage of the game. And when you're looking at the two comps, the lead that Incarnate built for themselves doesn't quite give them the ace. Save the KD. That's big for the mental warfare.
Kaza, you dirty dog.
Yeah, I mean, they lose the game here anyway, but good effort from Hidden Leaf on these 5v5s, but it's just so well played by Incarnate, finding these flank angles, diving onto them. Before that, throughout the rest of the game, finding pick angles. I think Arthidius, a 10-death game from Arthidius is also pretty uncharacteristic. That's a mid laner that can usually stay pretty safe in a lot of matchups. And, I have as kind of one of those more stabilizing mid laners. And so seeing a 10-death game, especially on a pick like Lissandra, not a great start for Hidden Leaf on the series, and takes us to game 2. Incarnate probably feeling pretty confident going up 1-0.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And transitioning here into game 2, we see another, in my opinion, pretty interesting draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this Brand, I know Brand is in a pretty good spot right now, but Brand jungle is not what I would picture being like an Akaza champ. Also, Brand Vagar, Caitlyn, you really want a front line for that, so they can output their damage and cycle through cooldowns.
Yeah, uh, I I think it was a bit interesting. This one, first game I like the cook. This game, I think bit of an overcook. Yeah, not saying Akaza can't play it, but I think we touched on this with um, was it Wintech maybe? Played the Zyra last week, where it's like, yeah, you can play these picks, but what does your team look good on for you? And I think that's usually something that has a bit of an early game engine for Akaza, something that can skirmish a lot more. And Brand is kind of a weird pick to me that early on. Like, it's not really a flex pick in my opinion. Yes, Maki can play it, but I don't think it's what you're looking to pick into Varus. So you could have maybe more early rotated a bot lane and a stronger jungler. But the bigger thing, like you were saying, is the rest of the draft. I mean, where's the front line? When you play Vagar and when I play Thresh, speaking on those two champs, you're playing this zone control style comp. And if you don't have a front line to match an enemy Scion Leona, you're just going to be giving up the zone to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. These scaling like team fightery zone control mages, your Vagars, your Niveas, your Asols, your even Cassiopeias, Azirs, like there's quite a few of them out there. They really need a front line to help like solidify them moving up and putting down X abilities for zone control. And that's not happening here. And also, I think this B4 pick, I'm not a big LeBlanc fan, but there's avenues where she works. This is an avenue where she works because who is ever handling this LeBlanc, seeing her absorbing any cooldowns, trying to threat her, like there's just nothing. This is the freest LeBlanc game. I don't know if this is something they've been just kind of sitting on. I know obviously a lot of mids at these levels have a pretty big champ pool, and a lot of them like to pull certain champs out when the situations are right. I think this was a home run for this LeBlanc pick overall.
Yeah, 100% agree, Lysander, on something like LeBlanc. Talk about the Arthidius being more of the stable mid laner, Lysander maybe the opposite of that, volatility. Go for something like LeBlanc. Throw down the gauntlet. You got a great mid jungle duo with LeBlanc Graves. That's just looking to hands check enemy mid jungle. Uh, playmaking everywhere else on the map, which is exactly what you want for Incarnate. I like Barbecue. A lot of versatility from him with these enchanters, but I do think he's got a nice recipe for success when he goes for engage, and that's what the Leona provides. You have Jacob on a stable pick in the Scion, something that can make space for the rest of the team. It just felt like a very solid Incarnate comp, and then going into the game, they executed on it well. Hidden Leaf, they had to make a lot happen early on. I think for them to be in this, and that is not how the game ended up going.
No, not at all. Um, there's just there's no way for them to respond to any of this early pressure. I mean, LeBlanc kind of just not kind of gets the lane for free. There's not really much gank set up. There's really nothing that Brand can do outside of like just walk at her and then EQ and hope she doesn't return more damage in your face. And I mean, kind of getting close to it. We see a little bit of the zone here, but once his cage is down, like what do you do? And then this Yone also never got ahead either. Um, I know he can pressure the side lane and ultimately outscale like quite a few of these champions, but I mean I mean what you're looking at right here, LeBlanc being in the Vagar's face. This is what laning phase was this whole time.
Yeah, pretty rough. And then on the other side of the map too, the bot lane, Caitlyn lanes are always pretty tough because you have to get ahead. And Thresh into Leona. I like the Thresh side of that matchup personally, especially early on, but it's not necessarily hard winning. It's more of a denial type of pick. Oh, hell of a hook there. Wow.
Yeah,
But I mean, you can see it here. They were not winning bot lane. Akaza comes in, able to pick one up, and it was this Brand who was the highlight early game. You know, Hidden Leaf jungler just finds a way to get leads for himself wherever on the map that is. But when he's not there, bot lane was bot lane was dominating. I mean, I think Spirit Tracks at one point got up to 5 kills, and then Lysander's running around the map doing his thing, pressuring mid lane. Jacob's keeping it safe. So outside of Akaza, from what I remember in this game too, Hidden Leaf didn't seem to have too much going for them.
yeah, for sure. Gonna zoom ahead here. I'm going to assume Incarnate with all of the early game pressure. Yeah, we already see a little bit of the dragon stacking already. Um, I don't know this Yone versus Sion. I think Sion is just so underrated right now.
Just always going to have a piece in a comp. And
Just
I've touched on Jacob a lot, right? I think this guy's an incredible player, especially on these tanks, on these weak side characters. It'd be fair to call him the best in the league at that. And so when the rest of the team's doing good, lock the Scion, do your duty, keep it close up there, and you know, give your team the free win through some superior tank gameplay in the top side.
yeah, yeah. He was definitely the glue in this comp. So we're sitting here at 15 minutes. We see it 11-5. 4K gold lead at 15 minutes is quite a bit. Though, oh, they get the shutdown here on Lysander. So definitely some fight back for the Hidden Leaf squad. C4 kills here, as you noted. Akuza kind of still find ways to get the ball rolling. I think last game was like a very rare game for him where he couldn't get much going. Here, he's on a Brand. You don't expect Brand to help out in quick pace team fights or game
Yeah, but he
phases.
just finds a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, great junglers do, and
Hmm.
props to him and the rest of the team fighting back a little bit as well. But I think it's really tough to keep the pace going. And take a look at Dragons. Keep bringing it up. It'll be interesting to see in the finals if any adjustments are made specifically around bot lane and Drakes, because I feel like that's a big way to at least throw something off for the side of Incarnate. I feel like it's their typical recipe for success.
Hmm. Oh, Wintech getting shut down here. 30 seconds for Drake. See if we can't see where this one breaks loose.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of fight back. Like the game's, all things considered, pretty close. It just feels like Incarnate are in such a better spot because of the Drake stacking. And when you're going against this zone control team that can't actually push in anywhere because they don't have this crazy lead, it gets really tough to navigate, right? Like Toji can only hit so many great hooks. There's another one for a kill. But outside, like, how are you actually walking into these situations? It's pretty tough. They do get creative. They find ways. I think Hidden Leaf is really good at playing angles as well. They can play these zone control comps and then find angles around that. That's what both of these teams do pretty good, honestly. But it's a third Drake for Incarnate, and despite the fact that they're getting picked off with these aforementioned creative angles, they know, like, okay, just stall till this fourth Drake, and once we get Soul, we're probably putting ourselves in a winning spot, even though our gold lead is only 1K right now.
Yeah, this is this is the nightmare soul that you want to see for this incarnate comp. Is this Infernal Drake just making all of these offensive stats on all of these very aggressive champions very
Yeah, so,
very useful. Oh my lord, Spirit Tracks.
yeah, I mean, there's the fight where this is right before the dragon
Oh,
spawns, right? They're just able to push forward, back him down. I mean, Wintech did nothing in this fight. Great hook from Toji, finding a pick onto enemy Graves, but both junglers down and numbers on the side of Incarnate. They just turn their eyes towards this Drake. Hidden Leaf can only do so much. I think Gojo, not really having a lead in these first two games either. Hidden Leaf, they can win through anywhere, but I think topside wins is how I would characterize them.
what do you think of this Mikhail's first on the Thresh? I think that kind of stands out looking here.
I think it's fine. Thresh doesn't really have any good. I have a problem with the Zeeks actually. If we're talking the itemization, I just don't think that item is that good, with the exception of like maybe an Alistar or a Rel. But like the tankiness you get with other items does a lot more to me than that tiny little slow and the extra. It's honestly, it only comes out to like 100 damage a fight with the Zeeks. So it's something like a protoplasm that, player like Rexy loves, or a locket for just more survivability for your team. I'm always going to be a fan of that. Mikhail's is good in this situation, right? Just look at enemy comp. You have Leona Varus. Cleanse is only up so often for Caitlyn. That's going to be the number one way you die, is like a Leona ult or a Varus ult. So Mikhail's kind of helps stave that off. I'm completely fine with that build. My issue would be with the Zeeks.
Yeah, I was thinking more of like an early locket to try and get a cheap, effective way to like
Oh,
just
this game goes
absorb it.
long. Wait, what the hell?
Hmm.
I mean,
This
we're
is
37 minutes in. They had the soul for at minute 27, but I guess Hidden Leaf just holding on. They have great wave clear. Talk
yeah,
about the zone control. As long as they're coming into you, then you're in a good spot. Uh,
yeah. But there's like, I mean, we talked about this in draft, like who really kind of walks into this and is able to create space to help with these zone control champions. So we see Elders down about 30%, 20. Like they can barely get through Jacob here, and now the fight's
yeah,
on.
for sure. But props to Hidden Leaf for holding on. I wonder if they were able to like sneak away a Baron or an Elder, a steal here or there. So it had to be something to keep them in it
Hmm.
for that 10 minutes after the soul. I mean, that clean ace, well played by Incarnate, ultimately finding the angle. So yeah, I mean, let's say Hidden Leaf, they find these
Oh,
ways to stay in the game, staying creative. Toji just finding some angles that I think very few other players would even see in the league, and holding on with a pretty broken base. I think they got an Elder somewhere in the 30-minute mark. But yeah, and then regardless, Incarnate goes up 2-0 in, I don't want to call it dominant fashion, but pretty good fashion. I think they were the ones ultimately in the driver's seat in these games. And so that always feels good when you have that opportunity and you find the win. On the flip side, Hidden Leaf, they were always in it. So continuing to scrap, that's probably what had them feeling good going into game three.
yeah, yeah. That's. I mean, we keep seeing it this whole split where Hidden Leaf just doesn't know how to go away peacefully. Not that any team wants to, but they just never quit looking for angles and looking for fights here. So, looking at this game three, we got the draft up here. Um, Ziggs Nautilus bot lane. Okay, trying to go to something a little bit different here. I has everybody forgotten about Corki? Or like what? It,
I do like the Ziggs Nautilus here. I mean, Corki was the first pick. I don't think Corki is like as reliable as some other 80 carries, but I mean, I'm a fan of it. I think any team that played against us knows how much we favor the Corki pick. It's got mobility, it's got good early game damage, scales pretty well into the late game on spikes. Pair it up with something like Nami is usually good, but a great answer from Toji and even Maki. I think changing things up from a Ziggs lane, from a Caitlyn lane into a Ziggs lane, where you can kind of sit back a little more, let your support pilot the lane. And Toji has a very good matchup with the Nautilus into the Nami here. And well, actually, I guess the Nami was picked into the Nautilus. Uh, but regardless, on the Nautilus into the Nami, it's a great matchup. And the bot lane definitely had their good impact this game. They kind of shut out Incarnate.
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I like the look here. Orianna has some minor synergies with the Nautilus hooks with Mbessa going in. I know you guys specifically really like the Orianna Mbessa combo. Um, but I think Orianna in the Annie has always favored Orianna. It's been kind of a legacy matchup throughout the years where Orianna is just able to really, with the shield and say like early MR boots, absorb a lot of what Annie wants to do, but you also outrange her and a lot of stuff. Um, Gnar, is a very blindable top laner. So I mean, I think Hidden Leaf got again kind of all that they wanted to get from this draft. Incarnate definitely looked like maybe they were trying something here. This just doesn't look like the most like
I mean, they kind of
cohesive.
counterpicked themselves. I think
Yeah,
it's
I
fair to
mean, I
say that.
don't. You got. I don't know. I would consider it probably like a losing bot lane stylistically, let alone with the threat of the Nautilus
Yes.
hooks. Oriana's a losing mid. Nar's gonna have pressure on Cassante. So three losing lanes. I don't care what jungler you got. It's not fun to play. So uh, yeah, I think all in all, this draft definitely would favor Hidden Leaf. Uh,
Yeah, no, this was the quickest game in the series as well.
oh yeah, look at
Don't
that.
know who exactly kicked it off, but Akaza finishing with 10 kills. It's a great look for them. I mean, they finish it in 26 minutes. That's
Ooh,
pretty phenomenal.
yep.
I think maybe this is the Lysander stinker. And I say stinker, loosely. Had himself a great rest of series, but losing first blood there in your counterpick matchup, that's just never going to be the look you want.
hmm This was maybe the game where Hidden Leaf actually. I don't want to say like they didn't look comfortable in the other games, but like this was a lot, especially coming out of the laning phase where they looked really comfortable. Arthidius not only was able to be stable, but picked the counter matchup. Well, actually got picked into him, but he felt very comfortable in this matchup. Got things going. Got the first blood as we've seen, um, and it's just off to the races from there. So note
Yeah.
this was also, I believe, pre-nerf Mbessa. So Mbessa R still got off pretty quickly in this. Oh
Hmm.
shit, I missed something here. Yep,
Just another solo kill.
yep, yep. Once Oriana gets like the ball rolling, pun intended, it's so hard to stop her because you feel like now you cannot even touch your wave as ranged.
hmm
So also
Yeah, so
comment on the Oriana is quite interesting.
yeah, I guess just going for lane pressure, huh? And I mean, it
Yeah.
worked.
Mhm. Yeah. It's just yeah, a lot of laning down. Oh my lord, make it stop,
Another one?
please. Make it stop.
Yeah. I mean, to
Oh.
your point, right? Like obviously everybody's going to do good when they have good matchups, but I think Akaza especially and Hidden Leaf especially, you want to have a lane to play through for a skirmishing jungler type of player. And so when you have especially a mid lane that's winning this hard, it makes the game incredibly easy. Your other lanes are winning. We see a solo kill there for the 2v2 in the bot lane. Top lane up 25 CS. So this lets the Ambessa just kind of walk around free reign. You see the CS lead for just the jungle matchup too. It's leads everywhere, and Hidden Leaf definitely knows how to snowball those. I think they're one of the better teams at snowballing the leads, so they did that pretty well, and really just didn't look back. And this time, look who got the Drakes. It was Hidden Leaf, thanks to a better bot lane matchup. So a nice job from them getting the early Drakes, kind of flipping the what I call the incarnate path to success, flipping the script a little bit there,
Oh, nice on
and
Akaza.
yeah, it's pretty sweet. That was a good little fight back. This mid lane's brutal though.
This is so brutal. I've been on the giving and the receiving end of this matchup. This is, oh man, this one gets brutal. So, especially with the new boots as well, like the upgraded MR boots. Like as Annie, if you ever get a even ahead once you get MR boots, it's like, oh my god, now I'm back to even. So, but yeah, we'll fast forward this just a little bit. Oh, okay, let's see how this one started while we are talking. We see it, yeah, 14 minutes, definitely a much lower kill game. But as you noted, dragon stacking in favor of the Hidden Leaf. We see the CS leads are still there. Bot lane kind of centered itself out, but oh my lord, what a wombo on the Spirit Tracks there. Um, yeah, both junglers deciding to lane gank bot lane, and that went very much in favor of Hidden Leaf. So Black Cleaver coming out first, so Gnar just gets to just freely do whatever. And yeah, this looks like it was Hidden Leafs from the word go. Um, Akaza 10-1 and 7 as a final score line. This was definitely more in tune. Oh Lord, Annie, why are you walking? Did you blast cone over? Oh,
Yeah, there
I
it
think
is.
Wintech hit the blast cone. Oh, that's a feels bad. Sorry I had to do it to you guys during this one, but yeah. But
And once Hidden Leaf has this lead, I mean,
this is
when
just
they're on comps like these and Akaza's ahead, having been on the receiving end many a times, they just run you down, and they know how to find angles, almost baiting you in for a fight. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're the one with the numbers. They're the ones turning it around, pressing those ulti buttons, and I mean that's an ace 15 minutes in.
hmm yeah, 15-minute ace. Oh, oh, look at the Three Musketeers getting it. Oh no, it was Annie hitting the blast cone. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, it was Lysander.
Yep, yep. Lysander with uh yeah, the Lysander special
Call it like it
ensues.
is. Call it like it is. Say what you want to say.
He I mean, that's what he basically did in all laning phase was throw himself at it, and the results didn't vary this time. So let's uh let's kind of fast forward to see how this one ended here because this looks like the game that could have been an email. Um,
Ah, the CLT Classic.
I mean, it's 6-19 is a 7K gold lead, and Dragon Soul by 24 minutes. Holy shit, that's a quick soul. So
Yeah, they'll just
yeah,
walk it down. I mean,
just walking it. Get Baron, walk down in game. Ziggs with Baron, third item Zanya's, even if he does get flashed on. Like, yeah, this is over with. So,
that brings
yep.
us to game four, which
And
had some pretty fun drafting elements. I would say so. We got Arthidius Zerath, um, but later on in the draft, I've seen this picked pretty early. I like the pick into the Azir. You have the Galio into Rumble. I think the big one though is Volibear for Wintech and the Kane for Akaza.
yeah, um, God, this Kane kind of came out of nowhere. I, I don't really have like any positive things to say about Kane, but then sometimes we see Kane.
Let me show you Wintech's game five last
Yeah,
week.
yeah. Well, I was, yeah, yeah. Then Wintech will make me look like a clueless idiot on hating on the Kane. To be fair, I don't think anybody liked the Kane in that game, but Akuza trying to kind of give the special back here um, on
Oh
the
yeah, I mean
Kane.
it's a nice pick. You see those first three characters come in, Volibear, Alistar, hey, this is a Red Cane angle, something I can stand in the thick of things and play Drain Tank. Bottom lanes drafted are pretty standard. I like the Bard Sivir side of things. I think you just have an easier time, at least on Bard early on into Alistar. But Spirit Tracks played the Ezreal very well from what I remember, keeping himself alive where he could. Barbecue, I want to say he had a lot of deaths, but when you're on a tank support and the rest of your team's doing okay, that's completely fine. You're just there to get things set up for the rest of your team.
Yeah, I think this is my least hated Kane position. Just because you do have an 8 wave clear to lengthen this game, you do have team fight. I just don't. I, I think Bard is good in a vacuum, but there's a lot of mobility overall for this Bard to like there's not really that much immobility out of like the solo laner specifically. Like yeah, you can Bard alt the Galio, but then he just comes out of it with taunt off cooldown, and he's really hard to take away from. Azir has WE, the drift opened up. Ezreal has arcane shift. I just don't. If this Bard goes around the map to make an impact, I just don't know what he can do. So in that instance, I think that's where I think it's hard to find an effectiveness in this. But like also, then I have the other thought of, well, it's Bard. He's there to be a wild card, a random pick, a kind of, I don't want to call it like chaotic, but he can make games that way. So um,
No, I think it was more just a first pick denial pick. Like, supports are off
that's
the table.
true.
Hey,
Yeah.
if we're not going to ban the Bard, we have B1 here. Let's take it away from Barbecue. I think Toji can definitely navigate it, even if it's not the best situation. Uh, and Hidden Leaf had themselves a pretty good early game. I feel like I remember them being like up in kills most of the game, but not necessarily up in gold for whatever reason. Arthidius really got off the ground, and I think a lot of that may be due to some barbecue robes, some Akaza gameplay, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But
This
then,
is, I mean, Arthidius is the ours patented Xerath player in the league, and I mean, when you're picking Azir blind, you gotta know this is coming.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I imagine they were kind of ready for it. I'm sure we can speed through maybe some of the mid game. He has all this range on the Xerath to provide this artillery support. He picks up his first kill there. You're pretty safe in lane into the Azir, just playing the range. That was good to see. And you have Incarnate trying to stack up the Drakes. Surprise, surprise. And then, Volibear into Keen. This is always going to be Volibear favorite early on. Wintech wants that smoke for sure.
Yeah, yep, 100%. I think going in there for the steal is fine, but it's uh, it's just hard for this bot lane to get position when you have like Sivir Kane, um, and Arthidios can provide some poke, but there's also some champions that can walk into him quite a bit. So in that regard, I think the early dragons and the early space that you're trying to get does go into favor of Incarnate, but I mean, there's the Bard difference. So 3-3 here at about the 8 minute mark. Really, pretty nice equalizer there overall. There's the artillery barrage we see coming over the top. Arthidius, I don't want to call it like last hitting, but definitely the getting values out of the ult, picking up some kills early to get this moving. If you get any early kills on Xerath, this becomes dodgeball real quickly.
Oh yeah, those Qs start in for half
Oh
health.
yeah,
Couldn't dodge that one. Bummer. But I mean, on
yeah,
the other side of the map, I think Spirit tracks in the isolated 1v1 against Maki very well. having a little happy gaming there. I think just ran out of mana, but he's been favored every time we've seen these two supports get on the map, and I like that for both teams. Really, you want Toji on the map and Barbecue on the map to try to stabilize mid wherever that is and get these two superstar junglers ahead. But just something to consider is Spirit Tracks in this 1v1 has been doing pretty good for himself. I feel like he's found kills. I feel like Maki's a little more susceptible on the weak side in the bot lane. Not that they really picked on this, but Ezreal definitely built up a bit of a lead, getting some plates, keeping even in minions, despite the fact that Hidden Leaf was getting these kills around the map. Incarnate was able to stay in it.
Yeah, I think
This is a long one, by the way. I think it's a long one. It felt a lot of back
32
and forth.
minutes. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think trying to take a look at this. Okay, so yeah, this is important for Hidden Leaf to get these Oh my lord, that Volibear got belted. Excuse me. So all signs point to Hidden Leaf like maintaining. They got almost a 3K gold lead here. I just wonder if it's a couple bad team fights, couple of bad team fights and maybe some shutdowns heading over. Nice headbutt into the turret here. Arthidius now getting jumped on. But gets one back. Barrier
The massive
burns here.
shutdown for Volibear.
Yeah. Oh, dies mid-Q animation. Yeah, so that's 3 back. I believe 2 shutdowns over to the
Just
side
like
of Hidden
that,
Leaf, and the gold leaves
gold's even.
Yeah. Yeah. That overstep is now what brings Stunned back into this game. We see a lot of Hidden Leaf uh, kind of fighting and gameplay going on here. They definitely aren't afraid to scrap. But now your Triforce Ezreal 3-1 and 2 here at 15 minutes versus a not one item Sivir. Like we're looking at a post 15-minute Yuntal. I know it can stack up pretty quickly in team fights, but still, it's that's tough to be delayed onto that. Yeah, we're 2 item Ezreal by the time she got Yuntal completed. So
7 of these kills are just on Xerath, right? And
yeah,
that's a good place to have it, right? I like having gold on Arthidius Xerath, but there is a lot of susceptibility. Like it makes it a very clear target for the side of Incarnate. Like, okay, this is who Lysander is going to be hunting every single fight with a Shurima shuffle. This is who Wintek's going to be looking to stun and pop. It's just a matter of, can Hidden Leaf kind of structure the fights good enough for that not to happen? You see them do that here. Yeah, they give the Herald, but Lysander's in a bit of an awkward spot in the bot tower. Akaza's starting up the Drake, and so they get themselves, I think, the favorable end of this trade, at least on the start, with getting the Drake. A little bit of scrapping in the bottom lane. Barbecue gets caught out. I do think this was not the greatest game from Barbecue. Engages are there, but just dying that many times, it's never going to be a great look.
yeah, for sure. I don't feel like this is the greatest use going Shadow Flame second. I typically am a pen kind of burst setup on Xerath, but I think in this game you have an MR boots, you're having a lot of beef in front of you, uh, along with Galio shields and stuff like that. I would like to see like pen or maybe even Liandry second in the pen here. Uh, it's either that or if you're going to go burst, then I think it's Sword Shoes. I don't. I think if you're going to go second item burst, I do like what Sword Shoes gives you overall. Like you just double down on that early to mid game power spike, and then you try to snowball it into the late game.
Yeah.
Overall, but yeah, it looks like. Um,
I mean, one thing, like, I think Incarnate, I'm talking a lot. I'm trying to talk a little bit more broad because, spoiler, this is going to be a rematch for our grand finals. I think Incarnate is pretty good at playing the side lane, especially against Hidden Leaf. I don't think Hidden Leaf is a great side lane team. And so that's what I feel like kept Incarnate in this game is, having Jacob solidify things on the side, having good enough wave clear in the middle, and then finding
Holy
these
shit.
fights. Yeah, I mean, like clear target with the Zerath, right? That's who you got to aim for, Lysander, and he kept finding the road. Spirit Track's doing some aggressive posturing as we've seen him do before, but the rest of the team should be able to sweep it up. Wintech silently building himself a lead off of some shutdowns, off of some kills here or there, and he ended up really taking over the game later on.
Yeah, to your point, I think I do agree. Hidden Leaf definitely has weaknesses in the mid game with their like lane assignments and ultimately side laning, especially when it comes to Arthidius. But I also don't think they draft many mid lane champs that are great on the side lane. You think about the Vagars, the Zereths, even the Syndras to some degree, depending on the matchups. Mel, all of these are pretty well known Arthidius champs that he's played multiple games on the split, and they're not that great in the side lane, and they can definitely be picked on um,
Yeah,
quite a bit.
and
So
that's not to say it's a weakness for Hidden Leaf. I just think it's something Incarnate does better, and
yeah,
you,
yeah, I
you
agree.
see it here again, where
Well,
it's like in terms of navigating the space where you're pushing in these side lanes and then you're looking to move in. Arthidius unfortunately gets picked off with flash out. Props to Lysander finding that angle, finding the road. And now at this point, Incarnate's really starting to snowball the game. You have bounty on your jungler, you pick up this dragon, you pick up an early Baron as well. And this is when things get pretty interesting.
yeah, Baron is actually so massive for stunned here, because now you have push into Xerath, into Sivir, in the form of the Baron minions. Yeah, they still have a lot of innate wave clear, but it's just that much better to push the minions up easier, let the minions get vision, and ultimately control the jungle camps as well. Oh, nice shuffle here. Lysander definitely looked like he had quite a few good shuffles and Azir moves in this mid game. So,
Lysander Azir, maybe something to look out for, yeah.
yeah. So, we're going to go ahead and kind of go to this last. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. This last fight
Yeah.
here. Um,
I mean, you see Wintech, he's 9-3 now, right? Like this Volley
yeah.
Bear built himself a lead and
Oh
he
my
just
lord.
feasts here, jumps on Maki. Sivir can do nothing. Heals it up. Jacob's in there. Barbecue's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, whichever team gets the fight on their terms is comes out on top. There's no real kite back the way these two teams play, and I like the drafts and I like the setup that Incarnate had throughout the series, and that brought them to the 3-1.
Yeah. I think this is kind of what I I don't want to say I feared because I think Hidden Leaf is obviously a fantastic team. You know, they got to this point. But sometimes I feel like they're missing that one key, typically like a frontliner in their draft, where we've seen it throughout this series, where they have the damage dealers, they have the style that like their backline wants to play, but then they just don't draft their frontline. And so when it comes to scaling, even if you match scaling for scaling here, like Sivir Zereth versus Ezreal, it becomes like more neutral, and then the bigger front line is going to win. Um, Most times, the only times where I think that's null and void is when they have Goji on a split pusher, like we've seen him on the Fiora primarily.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's when they can play side lane good as well.
yes, yeah. Well, the pressure is not on Arthidius to like side lane there. He can group more, play the more 4-1, put resources into Goji, let Arthidius wave clear, and just let Goji be able to handle and create the pressure. So, but yeah, that is our first series here. This was winter bracket finals. Hidden Leaf unfortunately does go down 3-1 to Stun Incarnate. Incarnate finishing the regular season number one and the team out of the winners bracket on to the grand finals here. So, with That being said, um, going playing off of last episode, we seen Femboys and Mythos win their two semifinal, or I'm sorry, their quarter final series in the lower brackets. So now they have a date here in this series, and oh boy, was this a series!
Yeah, 5 games. I know. How far are we into the episode already? I think we may need
Uh,
to pick it up.
yeah,
Uh,
we are 50 minutes, and that was with a 4 game
okay.
series. So
Yeah, we'll
sorry.
we'll find a way to make pace. Sorry to everyone to kind of try to speed through it a little more. We, like to talk about League. It's a beautiful game. We got some great players here.
Mhm.
But yeah, this Femboys Mythos series, I mean, right off the bat, I remember game one. We say we're gonna slow down, but this game one, this was the crazy one, right? With just the insane backdoor open nexus, open nexus on 2 occasions, TPs in, and this is all just later on.
I mean, look at
I
this
think,
level one. I'm sorry,
yeah,
not level one. This is 4 minutes in.
4 minutes. It's just crazy that these teams, two of the scrappiest teams in the league,
Yeah.
came to play. Polar subbing in uh, for jungle again for the side of Femboys, but I don't think that's anything lost for the side of Femboys. I think he's
No.
shown himself to be a good jungler. Rexy definitely doing great work in the bottom lane alongside Guma, trying to find these angles. Look to punish enemy bot lane. I mean, this game was just crazy. I think a lot of the action happens later on for sure, in terms of stuff we want to go over.
I'm so happy this Smolder Champion's getting completely gutted next patch. By the way, side note. Um, yeah, we've seen a lot of action there. Let's so here we're just outside of laning phase, or getting close to it. 6 to 11. This must be just something in the water over at the Stun Gaming org here, but their attention to these early dragons between Mythos last series and now, I'm sorry, Incarnate last series and then Mythos this series. It's like we see a trend here. Two dragons and none, especially these two specific dragons. I feel like are really good. Um, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah, early on stacking those up. And Mythos has themselves a lead, right? They, especially on 129, really snowballed in the jungle role. They've done well. Rexy's finding his way around the map despite, a few shortfalls in lane, which I think related to overforcing things. Now he's back on the map trying to make stuff happen, but Femboys found some angles in, and Rurica, even with a bit of a stinker on the Annie, dying in lane a lot to Astros, dying to some ganks, still finds some value, and the Femboys just managed to hang on behind, I think, mostly Moon Prince and a little bit of the Scion to stall this game out and eventually get this Smolder stacking and turn the game in their favor.
I I remember seeing this Scion 1-2 items, and I was like, what the hell? And then after that, I thought about it more, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually like when they had the red tree, the item cooldown rune some seasons ago. This was something that Scion would do, um, because it would keep proccing Leandries off of the Unending Despair. Unending Despair's cooldown would be lowered, and so you would just keep rotating through it. And honestly, into three melees, not not terrible. Do I build him 1-2? I'm gonna defer to Wangrod because every time he plays this Scion, he looks like an absolute fucking monster on it. So, um, yeah, all the all the more power. I don't know if this is something into Gwen specific or what, but oh, he brought Arcane Comet. Good lord, what was that comet damage? Jeez.
That's the
Okay.
tech.
I mean, I've played some Comet Scion in my time, but homie knows how to play Scion here. So, but yeah, we're approaching the 20-minute mark, and we just see the lead slowly increasing here for Mythos. Um, here, Sekka though on this Gwen, like Gwen is still Gwen at the end of the day. So I am curious. You said this one was pretty back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep it going, and trying to do what we can to make this quick, but a lot to be said. It's back and forth in this Gwen. Seko, found himself some angles in. Guma was firing on all cylinders from the back line. Ezreal into Sion's honestly kind of nice to play for Ezreal until the Sion gets too tanky. And you kind of see it here, right? It's Guma's still outputting good damage at this point of the game. Absolutely
Oh,
styled there.
wait.
Jesus. Oh my gosh.
Oh, oh,
Oh, talk to me, Guma. Oh my
oh,
gosh.
he's talking to you in some Korean there on that one.
Yeah,
Oh
it was
man.
beautiful. Like he navigates these fights so well, but then at a certain point, it's okay. You're into Sion Mundo, and so
Guys,
that's when the Gwen started taking over and doing more in team fights. But it
yeah.
kept going, blow for blow. Mythos, they were stacking these Drakes. I don't know if they ever got to the full soul, because I think at a certain point, the Femboys roster just had this super clean front line. Annie to help peel, Karma shields over top to help the Smolder stay alive. They have the two Drakes here, and then they're turning towards Baron. It it was just a pretty tense late game scenario and a hell of a way to kick off the series.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you would think going into this series is these two teams love the fight, love the scrap. They don't take no shit from nobody. Style of play here, so it doesn't surprise me we're looking at damn near 2 kills every minute. Um, you know, just looking at this, okay, Polar ends up securing the Baron. Rurika just trying to use Tibbers for the slow, has the Rileys here. Guma doing his best, but yeah,
Yeah,
Mundo goes
look at
for
the
the.
base. Look at the base. Right. This is where
Oh,
the game got crazy. Is while all this is happening, yeah, Seko's in the base. He was split pushing. So Mythos, they were like, let's try to get out, and it was this close. I mean,
ooh,
a few more autos from that empowered Gwen. You make the call. Okay, they're going Baron. We'll try to go for Nexus. And it was that tight, right? And then it respawned, and then a third Drake over to Femboys, and it just continues because it's open Nexus right now. So it actually didn't stop. I think there was one more scenario where Mythos recognized, like, hey, we're losing these fights. It's a really tough front line to play through. We're gonna go for a few more Hail Marys around the 40-minute mark where things are still pushing. He's going for it there, gets shut down. It was such a crazy sequence to watch.
Nocturne pulling the R, jumping here. Here's Rexy. Seko actually ends up almost getting out there, but now we got Guma joining the. Good lord.
Yeah, right. It's like who's really
Oh,
doing
and now
damage?
you got
Your
Smolder.
Gwen is some damage, maybe Ezreal, but at this point it's not enough. And so I think that's when Mythos started.
Blo-
We saw
Bloodlord's
that from the
overmail
Annie.
for the Smolder 6 item, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, sure, right? But the base is still in tatters, so it made the game really tough to navigate for Femboys. They can't leave too long because this Gwen has TP, this Ari has TP, and so when Drake spawns, it was a bit of a split decision where okay, we're going for Seko, but now we're giving away the soul. I like the call if you're Femboys, shut down the Gwen. That's the bigger problem here. I think you can play into the soul. You're looking for the fight here. You're looking to continue to push the pace. Going on in, I mean, Guma at this point of the game still stacking up all these Mystic shots, but just doesn't have enough through these tanky health bars. Now
Yeah.
Astros TP is over, and it's like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen? Can 129 stop the ports? Does Ari even have enough damage, right? Like, she's hitting. It's so crazy, man. The fact that this game one came down this close doesn't quite make it happen. And then look top right, Gwen spawning in 4 seconds.
Oh my
They're going
lord.
for the base. So Gwen goes for it, but with the tower respawning, that's not quite going to be enough. There's two
Oh,
members
that's what
there as
feels
well.
bad.
I don't think she would have had it anyway. It's all right. Honestly, she may have just being able to heal enough, but just Emily's getting away with some great timing there to secure a hell of a game one victory. And wins like these are awesome because it is so back and forth. And props to Mythos for still standing on business and from my eyes, not really tilting going into the rest of the series. It was a crazy game one though.
Yeah, yeah. What a way to open up this series. Um, so yeah, let's go on to game two and good lord, this is like the poster child Femboys draft here. Um, Wangrod on this Jax. He's played it time in and time out. Twisted Fate. I think Rurika's the only one that remembers this champion exists. Um, and I will 100% give it to him because I've tried reps on this champion and I can't do it even with his coaching. No, I hate this champion. Um, but he seems to always pull it out, and the effectiveness on the map he makes is so good. Into this Mythos draft, I really honestly do like this Mythos draft as well. You have so many angles of attack. Um, it's just I feel like they might get a little outranged or just a little pulled everywhere with the chaoticness coming out of this TF. So,
Yeah, I mean, super scrappy
mhm.
is on both sides, and so you look at okay, what team's going to get an early lead, and this time it was Femboys. I think Ashes and Moonprince did a pretty good job in these first two games. I think Rexy may have been overreaching a little bit in a lot of angles with the fights he was looking for. It's pretty easy to do so when you kind of feel like you're the better player, the better laner to look for these plays, but Ashes is able to kite it back, and that prevented anything big kill wise from going over to the side of Mythos and what you would, on paper expect Guma to really feast with. And then I think rest of the map just kind of stayed in it, and Femboy slowly built themselves a lead, and they have a great comp to snowball with too. See it there. It was a bit of an overreach there. You have the Twisted Fate to draw pressure elsewhere too. And now all of a sudden, Moon Prince is 2-0. Continuing to speed through. 129 Pantheon, I think, is a great pick for them. I'm a big fan of this pick. Especially into something like the TF, you can, actually contest the global side of things. And I don't know if I lost you, but I haven't heard you say anything in a while. Just a heads up.
Uh, sorry. Yeah, yeah. I like the Pantheon as well. I think this pick is super slept on, and he just not only with the map control, but I just like the options in the build that he can provide as well. Going Bruiser, going Serpent's Fang. Like the champion just kind of does it all, similar in vein to like Wukong,
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I do think this champion is very slept on. I know my squad, my jungler, really, really likes it after we got him playing it. So we do have to work on his R's, but yeah, yeah. Looking at this just seems to be again Femboy's like style of game. Even though Wengrod unfortunately didn't get the turret dive up top, he's still tied in CS. He's still uh, relatively even for the most part. 129 though getting away with an invade. Well, I say that, and I should not say that because then it gets collapsed on. Another kill going over. That is a 10-minute Roa for TF, so he's already feeling good. And Ashes just got kind of unlocked on this map. I mean, 6 assists by 10 minutes. You know, here's the support kind of dream going on here.
Yeah, a lot of that was bot lane though, is I think something to note. You talk about the 6 KP. Moon Prince,
Yeah, he's got
look at that.
yeah,
5 kills.
yeah.
So it was a great look when you get the bot lane this far ahead. You give an angle for the rest of your scrappy team members to keep themselves in the game, find ways to impact, and it's already a 5K gold lead at this point, a chunk of that on bot. And again, if Femboy's bottom lane is ahead, I think they're just in a great spot because the rest of the map is usually in a good spot to back them up, support them. And that's kind of what happened here. This time they can play through bot, and it's a good angle for them to pull out the win and go up 2-0.
Hmm. Yep. This one was a 29-minute game, so we're going to speed through this just a little bit. Let's catch this potentially last fight here. So, Seko getting caught in the top lane kind of starts this whole um, ending sequence. They get a boatload of turrets, and they just ended off that. Soul at 20, I would assume this is around 24, 25 minutes, so stun gaming, either squad, if they don't get early dragons, definitely seems to not be in their favor. But yeah, Femboy's up 2-0 here. And this is where I feel like the wheels kind of fell off, especially in this draft. I don't like this draft at all from
Yeah, I mean,
Femboys.
fascinating also from Mythos, right? I got to shout out backs to the wall, season on the line. Give me Rexy Sona. Um, not the pick I was expecting at all, but they pull it out on 2 to counter this Aphelios Lulu, and it pairs well with the Unara. But then on the Femboy side, you talk about it, it's a little all over the place, especially the Kennen. I am going to hate on the Kennen here. It's AD Kennen too. I think why not go AP?
Oh, yeah,
you,
that's
you have
right.
this is a counter pick as well, and it really just didn't do anything. Sure, it gets a lead, but I know Femboy's top lane and Ringrod can pull out other picks, other more reliable picks, and maybe they were up 2-0 thinking, yeah, we can do a little more happy gaming, but Mythos is a good enough team to punish that. So when you go for this, it's way too bold in my opinion.
Oh, Rika just getting first blooded with must have not seen the Astros ignite there. Um, yeah, I don't. I'm looking at the in-game screen as well. Um, I don't think Static Shift has crit on it anymore. Does it?
Well, I don't think you're going crit. I think you're just looking for the attack speed, the wave clear. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time hating on the Kennen. We got another 3 games of the series to get through, but this game, it really felt like a lot of it was draft, and then Mythos just kind of running through the team. They had a lead bot. They kept things stable in the top lane. Yeah, mid lane was tons of back and forth, but I think you're okay with that if you're Astros because your LeBlanc is always going to have value into all these squishies. And then eventually they can just kind of run away with it. Astros picking up a lot of kills, Guma picking up a lot of kills. It was winning through the carries
Yeah,
and the Sona.
Yeah, the Zac is so well. I mean, let's. Silas. Okay, cool. I know Rurika is a Silas god. Uh, most notably last series performance on it overall. But there's not very many good ults for Silas. Also, if you're trying to play the frontline card with Zac, for instance, Zac to me is one of the like unique tanks where it's not really frontline, because if you think how he wants to play the game, he wants to come in on the side, he wants to start the fight, he wants to be more of a disruptor. I almost akin him to like a tankier Rakan. So there's nothing stopping Graves, LeBlanc, Yanara plus Sona. Sona could freely scale into this bot lane as well. Like this is just this is a shit draft. I'm just gonna call it what it is. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, we've seen this. Like Rurika and the Femboys tried to play this like an early game, really aggressive draft, and honestly, they have the hands to play it and get leads in lane, but there's just the Aphelios is the only scaling, and there's no committal engage into this Aphelios. So he just sits back and just eats shit until Zach, Silas, Kennan go ahead and leave him out to dry for a LeBlanc. Uh, yeah,
Pretty much. Yep.
and I'm probably going to think that that's how this game goes, even though Rurika still has like insane Silas moments. It's just not it. It's just not working. So, um, I mean, this still was a fairly decent game length, 33, almost 34 minutes here. I'm gonna zoom ahead here. Okay, the stun moniker here, outside of the fact that Wayne Rod's probably getting caught a little bit on the side lane a few times here, but 24 minutes, we're already looking at a soul, drags up in another 20 seconds. So we're looking at what is now basically a 25-minute soul drake. Actually, never mind, because Polar got his little shining moment stealing that one. But is it worth it? No, because this team has negative freaking wave clear. So good luck once they get Baron minions. And I mean, yeah, it goes on for about another 5 minutes, but yeah, another could have been an email.
Would have been a long email, but
Uh,
yeah, and this was the start of the comeback. Felt the magic in the air.
mhm, yep. Just skimming through this last fight. Man, just I mean, Guma got picked on here in this fight, but that's all the bullets going after this 10 kill Yanar, and everything else just goes crazy outside of it. So, yep. So that is game 3. Sorry, we are rushing through it a little bit, but it is
I think we're still giving it pretty good detail. It's just
yeah, yeah. I
giving
just
the first series a crazy amount of detail, so I want to keep pace. I'm
yeah.
trying to get through the episode without being too cranky.
Oh,
So that we can
trust
get
me.
through predictions.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed there. So, um, I mean, this draft, it looks like just two different stylistic type of things going on here. We have Wang Rod's Yone up top against the Rumble. Oriana versus Victor, just another control mage versus control mage matchup. Um, and there's just nothing. I don't want to say nothing special, but there really isn't as far as like a weird wacky pick. There is a nice little all-in coming from the top side of the map. You know, J4 into Yone into the Victor R. Kind of was pretty feel good, but you've got the tried and true Oriana Rumble Wukong. Instead of Jarvan here, you've got the Wukong as a disruption. But I think it's the bot lanes that become a little off theme, especially for femboys here. Xayah is like one of the best ADCs at holding her ground and being able to R like single target engages, or even like very telegraphed engages. Here, what is, even if she R's this, you still have another Wukong
Yeah.
R up. You still have Rumble, um, Carpet, ults you got to worry about. It's just
hmm
I don't
It's
know.
strictly a counter pick into the Kaisa, right? Like I think that's the play. You're looking for comfort in that matchup there. Very tried and true matchup. But regardless, I mean, not even talking late. Femboys got off to a crazy start early, and they had a pretty sizable like 5K gold lead. Objective bounties were on line for Mythos for a good chunk of the game. That was just because Femboys Polar was getting around the map. Waingod was picking up a few kills here or there. You can see it right now, right? Just 5K gold lead, just 14 minutes in. I mean, hell of a lead. But ultimately, the difference, we talk about it tons and tons and tons, but Mythos, they're such a coordinated team, especially compared to the likes of Femboys, who have shown a lot of discoordination. And I think that's what made the difference is a lot of these fights, they're able to, pick off Ashes before it starts and just find the better angles. And eventually, Guma just took over this game slowly but surely. I don't want to speed too far ahead, but a lot of this was Femboys building a lead on the side lane, and then Mythos just finding a comeback through playing with better numbers together.
Yeah, I mean, you see sequences like this where, even though you do pick up one on the Oriana, now you're just giving a shutdown over to Kaisa. Like it's just not. You're zoning her off of everything here. But oh, it's TP sec. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of where it starts to go a little bit here. You're just donating so much gold and shutdowns um, along in
Yeah,
this
and it almost all
sequence.
went to the Kaisa as well, which not necessarily that you want it there, but Guma played it insanely well. It's not an easy Kaisa game to play into this Yone Jarvan, but they never got this coordinated dive off onto the Kaisa. I mean, you can see right now, 3-2 on the Kaisa, and ending scoreline for Guma in this game three, or sorry, game four, 16-2.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't die, like, and he just kept picking up kill after kill after kill. It was all on him, and he delivered. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see out of your AD carry. You're in a pinch, go to him. He'll make it happen. Super well played to Guma, and the rest of Mythos were playing around him, getting those leads for him. But it was really just the Guma show.
Oh, nice red carpet here from uh from Seko here. And yeah, like I mean, there's a double kill on the Guma as well. They could start get the Drake League. Yeah. Yep, I can already kind of see where this game is trailing.
There's those side lane picks, right?
Guma picks up another
They
one.
just have the
Yeah.
numbers.
Oh
There's
no.
another and another.
Yep. Oh yeah, look at this. He went from like getting a couple shutdowns here at the beginning of the sequence to being like equal with one items, and now he beats him to three. Um, while Moon Prince is on 2.5. Also with like I would say a stylistically a better AD carry within her comp. So
Hmm.
um, and I also like dipping into a little bit of the AP here because who's gonna tank these Kaisa Ws? Okay, yeah, they make the get. Oh, nice ult here from Seko. Okay, yep. Yepers. So they do end up walking away 1-for-1 or 1-for-2. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean you're still behind, but right, you can feel the momentum shifting, and
Yeah.
this is what it was, just gritty fight after fight after fight. Femboys don't have any Drake stacked. All their gold lead is on the Yone, who's mostly playing side lane, and here's a fight. This is where they pick off the Yone. He's way overextended. There was no coordination with the rest of the team in terms of either starting the Drake or following him up, and instead they end up in this weird limbo where you support him later. Mythos has the numbers and more kills over to Kaisa. We're now 11-2. We're now third Drake, and you can continue to chug through. This is just how they won this game four and brought us to Silver Scrapes.
Mhm. Wait, Seko? Oh, okay. I was about to say I thought Seko lived there. Um, yeah, no. After topside skirmish. I mean, yet this seems to be a femboy special where it's just like they give up Baron and then they just lose games off Barons because they don't innately have like the greatest wave clear. And this just the team fights start to fall. I mean, what is this? What is this Yone engage?
Right?
And look at oh yeah.
Yeah, great coordination on
Oh,
one side and a botched
oh,
engage on the other. And it's not that
Astros.
femboys can't, have that. It wasn't here for whatever reason. Maybe you're playing against a more coordinated team. It doesn't come across as cleanly because they did it against the Mapoho Coalition pretty well, executing, playing around each other. But here, Mythos just had the better of them, and they're able to win a few more fights and close this one out.
Yeah, I just is there not avenues of trying to get some side lane advantage with this Yone? Like you picked it into the Rumble here was an R5 Yone, so at this point, like, just stop trying to front to back team fight, look for these wombos, because you're out womboed here, and just try to get pull somebody to the side lane here. I think that is another thing. Not to go too deep into this. Again, nice Rumble ult, is a lot of the side wave management from the teams that do well in the Femboys, I think are super good because they can't really let Wangrod get on these side lanes. Oh, Guma. stop it. Um, they can't really play to the side lane advantage. We've seen Jax, we've seen Yones, and others come out of here, and they don't play the side lane game very well. And I think you're onto something with the coordination. But yeah, that is our game four here, and what would become, in my opinion, just a not pretty game five.
It was disappointing for sure.
Okay, yeah, that was the word I was trying to avoid. Yeah, this was fucking disappointing.
Yeah,
Um,
we saw some great game fives the other week, and you're thinking, oh, maybe it's the same. Are they going to pull off the reverse sweep? But yeah, you can circle it. You can have your rant about
bro,
Asol. Go
oh
ahead.
my lord, Rika, we homies. I've learned a lot from you throughout the years. This Asol pick is fucking horrible. I know everybody loves to pick on how much scaling and passive I can be, or on champions, and Asol is one of my bread and butters, I like to think. But dude, what the fuck are you playing Asol into this shit? Like, especially with a Kane. Kane needs strong lanes around him. Like, Jin Nico, great. Xin Zhao top, great. Asol, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and to a Talia, it takes one E rock to disrupt your W, and you're screwed. I don't. I don't get it. His laning got worse now that you can't refresh Arcane Comet. So he, some of the early game like nuances where he can be strong, especially if you level one Q and go into that route. But like, Talia matches your level one here. I don't. I watched this, and I think I was talking with Gio, top laner for Hidden Leaf, and we were just both like, "What the hell is this, Aso pick?" Also, this is like the least Rurika champion ever. Oh, I don't. That's it. I'm done. Hopefully.
Done for now. Yeah, right. We go from like a game five Silas the other week where he threw down the gauntlet, and Asol's not necessarily that champ, and then I think also just kind of misplaying it. You have some funk with the Xin Zhao top that I don't really remember getting off the ground. It's just Mythos drafted a nameplates off anyone in the league. Honestly, I love the comp on the left side more,
Yeah.
and then when they got a lead, it was really that's what led to the disappointing game five. It was just like, okay, we have a lead, we have some kills in mid lane, and now we can just kind of run over it because once Jinx gets excited and she's already accelerated, this is our game to lose. And momentum Mythos had with how cool and collected they managed to play even in these crazy high pressure situations. It was a great look for them to complete the reverse sweep. It's only so much to go through this game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Rurika had some good trades. I don't want to like sit here and turn this into like a bash moment or anything like that. Like we've seen him turn some around. We've seen also stuff like that. That was pretty critical. I think Rurika did at one point get a solo kill here, but not it's just not good. I don't know if they ran out of champions, but 100% will take your draft on the left side every day. I mean, if you tell me that this is an R5 draft where you have Jinx, Talia, Lee Sin, Ornn, like it it's so good compared to like the smutting of champions that you either main or you're comfortable on the red side. It's like there's no cohesiveness. Just also I understand that AP Zinzao is a thing, and maybe they drank the really good stuff from Lorlo on this one. But I honestly thought I was talking with some of the guys from my squad, Caster Curse, and we were just like, what does this Zinzao do overall? I think Seko played it pretty well. First buying the anti healing, which I think is great. I know it's a war of attrition, but like I don't know. Uh,
Yeah, Guma getting ahead as well. I mean,
yeah,
it was wraps. You can see at this point in the game when you have a Jinx that's accelerated, a Talia to help peel for it. It was always Mythos, and you can say the line now, and we can get on to our next series.
yeah. This one could have been an email, and the opening statement could have been Silver Scrapes, and that's about the best thing that happened about this game. Yeah, there's I think This maybe the solo bubble? Nope, never mind. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. But I'm already tilted watching this.
Yeah. No need
So,
to do the up 10. You can speed it through. I mean, it was
uh,
it was great having Femboys again. In the split. They've been dethroned, right? Two-time
mhm.
defending champs finally knocked off a peg by the new teams in this league. They made it happen. The Stun Gaming org shutting them down in back-to-back 5-game series. So not going down without a fight. Always, super scrappy. They got a pretty unique brand, especially, with their hands and with the way they can play through topside. So nice to have them in the league. They had another pretty good showing after what looked like maybe a bit of a shaky regular season, showing why they are established as a title contender every year. And we'll see if they're going to make a return and maybe a run for it in another year.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah. Hats off to Femboys, especially with a lot of the subs, um, and kind of just chaotic that a lot of their players had. Wangrod, having his PC blow up and Inferno moving around, playing four different roles here, getting to this point, putting up the fight, and just the overall excitement that they bring to these games. I definitely will always enjoy watching them, but just yeah, to go down like this is kind of crazy. Um, Also, 129 having a stellar game on the Lee Sin. Nice to see. Always nice to see Lee Sin played in this server. Um, yeah. So yeah, we'll go to. Oh, this was playing. Crap. We'll go to our lower bracket finals, which will be the last series we cover here. Using a different drafting site. Cool. Is Mythos after their win against Hidden or not Hidden Leaf after their win against Femboys in a 5-game banger. Well, all except for game 5. Take on the Hidden Leaf guys here, and this series got off to a bang. This is probably the series I watched the most of. No, I didn't catch all of it. All I remember is I think I tuned in about 3/4 of the way through this game, and I went, A, why did Hidden Leaf basically get every champion they're known for? And B, what the fuck is this Vlad doing on my screen? Uh,
Fair enough. Yeah, a bit shocking to see Arthidius Lux. I don't know if we'd ever see that one again. And then you have,
uh,
Zehen, you have the Ash Seraphine. I mean, it was just masterclass from Hidden Leaf, and you brought up the Vlad. It just wasn't a great first game from Mythos. I think kind of easing into things. I like Guma on the Ezreal. We've seen this guy fry before, but I am going to hate on the Rexy Karma a bit. I think it's just a really tough pick to execute. And from what I've seen out of him as a player, it doesn't really lean towards his strengths. I think you're better off maybe going for something that can stand and fight and contest some fights. I know it's tough into the Ash Seraphine, but Rexy just doesn't have the same impact on Karma as he does other champs. And the way Mythos plays, Rexy needs to have impact and engage potential for them to, I think have their clean wins.
yeah, agreed. Um, for sure. I think Karma is is sometimes overpowered in some supports' hands, and then sometimes they eat into it a little too much, and it's not that powerful compared to just picking another enchanter there. Obviously, there's a lot more context involved in it, but I do agree. This does not really strike me as a Rexy champion. Maybe it's just something they said, hey, let's try to burn a counter or cheese. I don't want to say cheese, but try to like cheese out a win against a lot of the power picks that Hidden Leaf like, including the Ash Seraphine, which is probably the most consistent, maybe not the most powerful, but most consistent bot lane in the game. But to pair it off with all of this range CC, whether it be Seraphine setting up with post Rylai's into Lux, Ash ults into Lux snares, into this, into that. Like there's so much innate synergy between um, a lot of these champions over on the Hidden Leaf side, and there's too much scaling here for the side of Mythos. This Vlad. I think Vlad is virtually unstoppable in lane if he plays it pretty passively, and it just looks like Astros just wasn't ready for the amount of barrage that this Lux was coming from. I'm not going to get into my Lux rant from last week. You can go check that one out, or just watch Herald League of all the really talented Lux players in that league. Uh, Trip Hazard
Yeah,
is
and I mean
the
we
name
can
of the
probably
list,
start
but
speeding through the game. There's
okay, I'll
more,
shut up.
a little more too. Uh, we got a whole 5 game series to go through. I mean, I signed
Yeah.
up for this, yes, but I do want
Sorry.
to keep it somewhat timely if we can.
Yeah.
It's on me too, you know.
No, it's all good.
Uh, because this game was a pretty quick one when all's said and done, right? Like
Yeah,
it
32
was just
minutes.
leads everywhere for Hidden Leaf,
It actually
playing
was.
it smooth and solid. Vlad falls behind, Karma falls behind, and then they can just run away with it.
Yeah. Yep. So we're kind of getting to the end, 32-34. So here's our last fight. Neither team got to Soul here actually, but oh 129 actually put some work here in the back line with Guma, but Akuza and Goji are the difference makers here. So that was our last fight. 65k to 57, 28 to 10 here. They do take this first game here. Looking at game two, we're just gonna kind of just go into this. Looks like a pretty even early game for them draft wise. Nothing. I mean, again, it seems like these teams kind of get their pick of the litter here. Nice little kill here from Goji. Noted something we didn't touch on was the sub top laner. Um, so I
Yeah, I wasn't
believe.
sure if you were avoiding that topic by choice,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
it was a sub
that's
top laner.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Was a sub top laner. If you're not aware why, you can go look into the Discord server. Yeah, we won't. It just dawned on me on what that was. Yeah. Um. Yeah, we won't touch on that.
Yeah,
But
I will say I think despite the substitute, it wasn't like a crazy hole. I think first 2 games they threw him on weak side characters, and of course you want to see Seko and this team at its best, but and it's always these what ifs. But other than maybe game 3, which we'll touch on later, like it didn't feel like there was any matchup where it was like, oh, top lane is like a clear liability here, which was nice to see from my perspective. This game too, Guma Kaisa maybe the pick to watch going into not going far, but just it has delivered consistently, just finding all these kills and staying relatively safe, or despite the fact that you're playing onto this Pantheon Talia Ziggs Bomba Clat combo. Mythos just picked up kills on their carries, and they were able to just run the game through this crazy dive comp. I love the draft out of Mythos.
yeah, yeah, I don't disagree here, and I actually think unlike some of the other Silas games we've touched on just in this episode, these are some really good quality ults for Silas that serve a purpose. Diving in with the Alistar ult or the Renekton ult is really good for them. So uh, yeah, so we're sitting here at about the 20-minute mark. This is a relatively like even-ish game, 1300 gold here. Two dragons though in favor of Mythos. I'm sorry, in favor of Hidden Leaf here. So kind of gonna skip through here for time purposes here. And actually, sorry,
Yeah,
how
sorry, I'm just kind
long?
of running out of steam. So
No, no, no. I totally, I 100% feel that. And
there's the
actually,
dive comp.
yeah,
Just
when I
pop
get
them.
tired, I start to just rant as well. I don't shut up. So, um, let me pull it up here. Okay, so yeah,
I
this,
mean, it was a very back and forth game, right? But the
yeah,
dive comp that Mythos has, and we talked about it in the Femboy series, they have this great coordination where, especially when it's someone like Rexy pulling the trigger, 129 as well, they give the shout, even the substitute top laner on some of these Malphite ults, the whole team is on board, and Guma's just killer instinct in to follow him up. And so Hidden Leaf tried to get it back on the side lane where they can, but in these 5v5s, when it is Mythos, boom, pulling the trigger, executing on this dive comp, it looks so clean for them. I think this may be one of the final big fights where this Malphite is so tanky. 129's in the back line. Guma's able to just free hit this whole time. And with this fight, they're eventually able to close it out.
Yeah,
Massive performance from Guma yet again.
yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. The coordination showed a lot here because the first move is by Akuza and Arthidios, two global ults here on the Astros, and he was able to stall up enough time for Nocturne plus Malphite TP to get into that game-winning fight here. So, really well played by the Mythos side. Um, oh, that's right, there was a Tryndamere game.
Yeah, this was the game 3. And this is where, Gojo really put a stamp on the game. And pretty spicy pick. Love to see it come out. And, this is where, okay, maybe the substitute top laner. This is the game where you point to it as being a question mark. But to be fair, it's this counter pick and it's Akaza playing towards the top side. So
Mm-hmm.
you see all these summoners burn just to get one kill. And then the snowball
Oh,
begins to start. It's so close to Akaza dying. And when you have this TF as well, who I guess someone else other than Ririka can pull it out,
it's true. Yeah.
and you don't have this winning side lane, it makes it really tough to navigate. You don't really have as much value on the Twisted Fate.
Yeah, I like overall Hidden Leaf's answers to this. I think I remember talking to Gojo, or his Discord name's Inversion, and he has kind of really practiced this. He's busted this out a few times in like solo queue setting, and felt confident that you can quickly outscale the Mbessa, especially post level 6, like level 9 area. But it was very impressive that the Hidden Leaf team knew how to support this kind of counter pick, or some would call it like a pocket pick. Not that it's much different than playing with like a Fiora, but the fact that they already had this early game plan. They had strong bot and mid lanes, so even if they do get behind via bad trade, lose gracefully. But Akuza coming top, as we've seen, getting an early kill, and then returning, getting an extra kill on there, just solidifies that this pocket pick's going to get rolling. So
100%.
so
And,
yeah.
later on in the game too, it was Toji on the Nico. Absolutely phenomenal job finding engages. Nico can be tough to pilot sometimes with some awkward situations of like, oh, when am I actually, jumping in here without just getting blown up? And you are a squishy champ by nature, so how do you keep yourself alive to stall to that point? But I remember tons of massive pop blossoms in this game, and similar to how Mythos play, when Toji's on and getting these engages, I think Toji's kind of the main initiator for Hidden Leaf in the games I've all seen. Akaza tends to play a little more skirmishy, so when Toji can get these engages, that means Hidden Leaf is fighting on their terms. So well done to them. Akaza, just snowballing like crazy as well, and it brought them up and got them to another game win.
Yeah, we've seen there. The early Drake stacking got the soul after losing the fourth Drake, but yeah, you can just see the insurmountable lead that Akuza has, the pressure Goji has on the top side. You can freely dive the Simbessa every time, and it looks like this went to an Elder Drake. Um, and after that, oh, okay, yep, there's the engage you were talking about, and
Yeah,
just
one
like
of
that,
them. I mean, nice
yeah,
engage,
one of
Elder.
many.
It's over.
But yeah, there's the game sealing one there with the Elder Drake, and yeah, that was our game number 3.
Yeah, and game 4, surprisingly not too bloody. It was 18 to 8 kills, but this one was the Rexy show. I giving a shout out to him. I talked about 18 kills for Mythos, 17 KP for the Rel through all that, just finding a way to impact the map. The misfortune pick a little spicy. But this Rel just got on the map and made stuff happen wherever she was at. The one miss KP doesn't even have it right now, right? I think it was just a random solo kill somewhere. So Rexy just finding ways to be involved, finding these engages, and Hidden Leaf just not able to kite around it or build themselves up a contestable lead. I don't think Wukong on the side lane really has the answer you want. And then
No.
Arthedius never got off the ground, Maki never got off the ground, and so it was it was a very nice answer back from the side of the Mythos squad.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would have been interested to see is if they swapped Wukong and Volibear in this draft, because I think Wukong has some tools earlier to put pressure on the map, even though it is the brand does counterpick it. I don't really think jungle counterpick matters that much if you get early vision. To where Volibear just has the Q that runs at you, and there's a lot of ways to avoid it, whether it be movement speed or gap mobility abilities from like Gnar. So, but yeah, we're here at the 14-minute mark, which I think is everybody kind of considers this to be near the end of the laning phase. 2 kills, or I'm sorry, 2 dragons up 3K. 3K at 14 minutes is a pretty big lead here, and by 20 minutes there's an extra five kills uh, onto that,
Yeah,
and a third
I
dragon.
have the
Oh,
3 Drakes.
oh my lord, there's another. Oh, yeah, Soul at 27. I probably earlier than that. Um,
Yeah, there's some fight back, specifically on the side of Gojo. He had himself a pretty good game on the Wukong. Talk about 17 out of 18 for Rexy. It was 7 out of 8 for Gojo. But just not enough to bridge the gap with the rest of his team's deficit. And Mythos just kind of playing it cool, playing it collected. This may be the slowest game we've had all playoffs in terms of pace of play and kills. So it was fun to see a little switch up in a game 4. And once they get these objectives, they're able to just kind of close it out.
yeah, this is also another Hidden Leaf game where they picked a Xerath, and again, there's not really much front line. There's bigger front lines than some of the previous drafts, but yeah, so they kind of go after Elder, double kill coming out for 129, and yeah, it looks like they prioritize the Elder and the Baron. Excuse me, and then that kind of seals this game up. Try and get to this last team fight here, or base defense.
Yeah,
Uh,
appreciate the team sticking through what I'm making a shorter episode. I know there was a lot of back and forth there. I'm sure some pretty close team fights. This call for Mythos was just to play it safe and make sure you have the 101% chance of victory, not the 99.9. But it was the Elder flip for Hidden Leaf, and they did a good job putting themselves in a spot to contest that. They were first in the area,
oh, Victor
but
ult.
the engages by Rexy were enough to make the difference and force another silver scrapes.
Uh huh. Yep. And we're just gonna go ahead to the early game here, and I mean, here's your game 5 comps, which I honestly think, I mean, both teams.
A lot of power picks.
Yeah, a lot of power picks for these teams. Arthidius hasn't shown the Akali as much as say some of his other ones. He got a pentakill on Mel, known for the Xerath, but I mean, he's still a very, very good Ahri player. He showed that earlier in the split. And, I mean, you've got scaling ADCs that are okay with an extended laning phase, and 2 supports that say, screw you, we're brawling. So, it's a really, this is a much more even draft for a game 5 compared to the last one. Goji's also, I think, the only one to pull out this Mordekaiser, if I'm not mistaken. So, um, yeah, just kind of zooming through this. Maybe how quiet? I haven't even looked at the. Okay, this was actually a kind of a slower, quieter game as well here.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough game 5, situation. You're playing with a lot at stake, so I think, playing it cool. There's no real super volatile lanes. I think the Shen did a good job of farming up in the counter pick matchup. Uh, if you want to jump to like 405 in the YouTube, that may be a little bit much, but Trundle was getting a lot of action done early on. I think 129 was doing a really good job there. Astra is being involved in that too. And then this dragon fight was pretty crazy. Rexy goes in and forces a little bit of space. Gojo finds himself in an awkward spot. Astros gets ulted, and then fight breaks out. There was just some crazy micro going on both sides here, where I think the AD carries especially just finding ways to hit whoever's in front of them while
Yeah.
keeping themselves healthy was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, okay. This game's starting to come back to me. Akuza played like a madman in some of these fights, including that turnaround there. I I keep saying it, man. I don't understand how some of these big damage dealing junglers, Kha'Zix, Nefiri, we can throw Vi into this, like how he manages the team fight so smoothly on these. Because I mean, we've seen an example of it there, but um, it just kept having moments like that where this Vi just all of a sudden turns around fights when you think she's fired all of her bullets.
Yeah,
But
and I mean 129 also just wreaking
yes,
havoc. Trundle. I know there was talk of like, oh, this Bandle pipes, which I do like, right? I think you should provide utility for your team. You're ultimately winning through your Jinx, not your Trundle.
yeah,
Uh, Orianna making an impact, but Hidden Leaf just staying staying in it, staying gritty, staying tenacious, and eventually getting Maki online. Who he's pretty behind right now, 1-3, down almost 30 CS to the Jinx, but they're able to play around this Sivir pretty well. It's a little easier in terms of the front to back they have structured. And one thing I'm a little worried about Maki is tends to overstep. I think compared to the 80 carries we have left, even at this point with Guma and Spirit Tracks. Maki finds himself in positions where he just gets caught out, to put it really bluntly, and I don't see the vision of like an aggressive play that he's looking for. So that's a bit of a concern, and that's something Mythos were able to pick on just a tad, but it wasn't enough. The Sivir's able to eventually fry come the late game. Akaza as well, making plays happen.
yeah. The mid jungle duo here, I think was super key. I mean, I mentioned the Akuza, but I thought Arthidius like was able to go with him and become like basically like a Bash brother with him. I
Yeah,
mean,
look at that.
oh
Sweet.
my lord.
I mean, Maki played that pretty well. 129 doing what he can, but it's really just I mean that turned the whole game around right there, because then you can get your Cloud Soul, and now you have Cloud Soul, Sivir, Vi, Ari. Oof,
Yeah.
sweet stuff.
And actually, I think the most underrated one is the Cloud Soul on Mordekaiser, because in the Death Realm, like your whole goal is at the moment you get hit once, you get slowed. Good luck running away from him. Now, like he's just turbo running at you, in that regard. But no, no, I think this was um really like one of the best game fives we could ask for going in the finals. I think both these teams left it all out there. I don't think there was any like stretch of champ pools or anything like that. Yeah, we could talk about the builds, but I'm not going to go into that. But I think this was like the best game five we could ask for, and overall, like this was just really quality, just League of Legends from both sides here. They both could have easily won it at any moment. And I don't think really any team like lost it. I just think there was some small subtle differences in team fights that you'll look back on and probably feels bad. But but man, this was a banger of a game five. I'm sorry we're not gonna go too in depth into it. I mean, you can even see it here. There was only a 3K gold lead at the end of this
Yeah.
game.
I mean, anytime game goes that late and has that many kills back and forth, yeah, either team could have taken it. And this time it's Hidden Leaf and Mythos find themselves eliminated, finishing third when all
Hmm.
said and done. So it's similar to Femboys, I think. One of those teams everybody kind of, or maybe not similar. I don't know, but Mythos feels like one of those teams everybody liked having in the league. I think Rexy definitely a fan favorite in terms of personality, and adding some spice with some pretty confident answers and just some jokes here and there. But
Hmm.
yeah, Mythos all playing throughout the league. I think a welcome addition, and excited to see what comes for the future for the Mythos side.
Yeah, yeah, they were definitely a treat to have. I mean, everybody remembers the Rexy call in from vacation, and there's definitely some personalities on those squads, but um, overall, I hope they had a great time and do return in the future. They were a treat to have. Both stun orgs, but Mythos definitely had a lot of personality, a lot of friendly banter. It seemed like they integrated with the community very well. So I have nothing but the utmost love for Mythos in this regard. But that leaves us with our grand finals matchup between Incarnate and Hidden Leaf, which, as we noted earlier, Hidden Leaf did lose that matchup 3-1. Hidden Leaf needs to win twice, so it is a BO5. If Hidden Leaf wins, it is a reset. They would have to do another BO5. Would not be on the same day unless they elect to do it, which I highly doubt anybody is going to be
Yeah,
signing up
it's
for
too
that.
much.
I can tell you as a caster, I'm not signing up for 10 games. I can lucky if I pull out five. Um, but did you want to go into predictions or at least give us a little thoughts on this matchup before we close this one out?
Sure. Am I going first?
Yeah, you can have the honors, my friend.
All right, sure. I think it's going to be pretty good. It's you know, I think the two teams that have pretty much established themselves through the latter half of the season as the hottest teams and the teams to beat, Incarnate especially. A lot of 5 game series between a lot of the remaining teams from semifinals onward. So it's been a super tight top side of the league. But for me, or breaking into the matchups, I guess a little bit, I think jungle is going to be the place everybody goes to. You have two best junglers in the league, in my opinion. The two top, I had them as my top MVP candidates, both Wintech and Akaza, and they matched up very well last time. So it's going to be a treat to watch how they scrap against each other this game. Everywhere else on the map, I feel like matches up pretty evenly with only slight favors here or there. So it's going to be maybe a bit of a stylistic difference. You look at topside. Does Jacob kind of stabilize maybe some power picks that Gojo has? Is Hidden Leaf going to go for the team fight matching side of things, or are they going to try to play towards this side lane that has worked out well for them and maybe is a different look that Incarnate is not as ready for? That's something I kind of want to see. In the jungle, kind of touched on that. I think it's dead even. It's going to come down to picks and the rest of the lanes because these junglers are going to find ways to get themselves involved and make an impact in team fights. Mid lanes, I think is pretty interesting too. I'll let you touch more on that, but very stylistically different. I think that is going to be one of the most volatile sides of things. Like, can Lysander find these leads? Can Arthidius, stave him off and show the other side of the Lysander coin that we didn't see as much in their matchup that we touched on earlier. And then bot lane, I do give the edge to Incarnate. I think these supports match up pretty evenly. Expect them to get on the map and lean towards these kind of playmaking styles. But to me, Spirit Tracks is a better AD carry than Maki. He's been in more reliable positioning spots and is someone I just trust more with a lead. So if that lead comes, I think Incarnate's bot lane is going to have the potential to run with it. So all that's to say, if we see something similar to the last series where it is a lot of these 5v5 action fights and Hidden Leaf kind of throws the same thing at us, which I'm expecting to see. I haven't seen enough of otherwise, side lane plays or more, you know, more spice, if you will. I think Incarnate matches up well. I think they're going to stack up well in the bot lane. I think they're going to stack up well in the mid lane. And when you have carries in a best of five that can deliver the deeps, I'm going to always favor that team. So I'll go a 3-2 Incarnate for our grand finals. What do you got?
Hmm. I mean, you covered a lot, and I don't necessarily disagree. I think it does come down to picks and draft. I think sometimes Leaf can hit home runs in drafts. Sometimes I think they're just that one pick away. I'm not gonna go into it, but I've pulled out a bunch of different examples throughout the Midwest Weeklies in that regard. Um, I mean, topside, I think it could be anybody's game. Jungle, I do think is the entertaining and probably the matchup of the series because I do agree these are the top two junglers in the league. honestly. Akuza has been insane, as we all know. MVP last split, and Wintech is been definitely pulling out some spice and some overall like really good skill expression champions um, in these playoffs. Mid lane, I think, is going to be the biggest question mark. I think Lysander sometimes he's I think he's almost guaranteed to have kind of a thumper game, especially throughout the laning phase. In one of these games of the series, it's just how big is that laning phase going to affect? And I do think Arthidius is a more pick reliant or more matchup reliant mid laner. He has some spice. We've seen the Xerath, we've seen the Veigar, we've seen the Lux. What else does he have up his sleeve? Because I think sometimes he can get predictable in the draft. So mid jungle, I'd probably give to Incarnate. Bot lane, I think, is quite interesting because I agree. I think Spirit Tracks is an absolute fantastic AD carry, and could argue maybe the best in the league. Definitely in this matchup for sure is the best. But I really like what I've seen out of Hidden Leaf support. I think it's been doing a lot of playmaking supports. The Thresh performances have been fantastic. So I think that's a little bit of a wild card there. I do think Maki has definitely not shown to be like the high impact AD carry that maybe some of the other ones in the league, Spirit Tracks included, can be. So I do think it goes to 5 games. I think for the first time that we've actually had a bracket reset, I think it happens here. I think Hidden Leaf wins game 5 with something they've been kind of cooking up, maybe saving for this, and I think we go to a bracket reset here. Um, I
Yeah.
it if they overcook or they pick the wrong champs in the wrong spots, maybe it could be like I mean, it could easily be a 3-1 for the side of stun. But I just Hidden Leaf looks so scrappy, and they're never out of games. And I personally I value that more. I think they have more to look at and clean up than what Incarnate has. So I go 3-2 Hidden Leaf, and I think we have a bracket reset.
All right. Yeah. All
So
all solid points. I will say I'm going to touch on the Maki thing a little bit. Not that he's not a high impact AD carry. I think you can mark my words here. Maki's going to have a game where he drops 12 plus kills sometime this series.
mhm.
But it's more so just like over the course of the series. With a lead, I trust Spirit Tracks more. That's the only thing I want to
Yeah.
touch on there. But otherwise, I like all your points, and we're both having this go to 5, so it's going to be a good one.
Mhm.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it goes to 5. And I mean, Maki, I don't think they put much pressure on Maki in the draft at that point. He hasn't been asked to play the Kaisas, the Ezreal, stuff like that. Which I mean, just maybe not his style. I mean, do you really need to play that style when you have Akuza? I mean, I don't know. So, but yeah, so you've got 3-2 Incarnate. I have 3-2 Hidden Leaf. I think it's easily going to go to 5 games. I think there'll be some spice. I think Lysander will have a 10 plus kill game and maybe a 10 plus death game. Seeing which one goes which way the furthest. But yeah, I believe we're looking at sometime around Saturday. I don't think they settled on the time here, but when that gets announced, we'll definitely put up a poll in the Baron Discord. The Herald League has definitely loved the polls for the match of the week, so I think sparking some conversation there is going to be really good. I do think Rusty is planning on announcing the MVP this week. I will get with him, and we'll definitely get an update on that regard. All Stars, not sure what the status is on that. I've been kind of focused on Herald League, so again, we'll try to update on that regard, see what we can do. It's just going to be kind of a just for fun. Herald League did 2 games Fearless and then a third game Blind Pick, which I thought was the most entertaining third game ever. Shout out to Zelda Cinch Mid. But yeah, we'll see what we can do here. Definitely create a lot of fun. And I'm going to wrap this up since both me and Nexus have lives outside of here. Shocker. And yeah, that'll be our episode. Do you have anything else for our folks?
Looking forward to the games. Welcome any feedback, of course. Thanks for letting me jump in here and you know still pump out the show. Just trying to get it out for everyone because I know there's a few loyal listeners,
Yeah,
regardless of who's behind the mic. So happy to get it out for those people and
yeah,
looking forward to this grand finals matchup.
for sure. Same here. We do it for the fans. We keep getting more and more engagement, so we love to do this. I appreciate Nexus. I think ultimately he was the one that kind of kicked me in the ass to do this, and here we are on a Tuesday night, going on close to midnight Eastern, finishing this up. So this will be out tomorrow, and you know, let us know what you guys think about the finals. I want to see more input, more impact or interaction on the Baron League chat. Let's see. So deuces.